This podcast is brought to you by the Disabled But Not Really Foundation, a local Kansas City nonprofit organization that pushes to instill a physical limitless mindset that breeds courage, confidence, and competence within the disabled community. You can follow and support Disabled But Not Really on social media or go visit their website at disabledbutnotreally.org. Their work and their mission is to really impact communities and make more people understand the benefits of inclusivity. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Oh man, it's Sunday Safe Spaces. This is going into our fourth year, episode 47. Man, I am happy to be here with my co-host April. We have some amazing guests as well who will introduce themselves here in a minute and let you guys know who they are. We're welcome in this space to talk about the power of community care. I'm really honored. I mean, it's been a great year so far. I hope everybody's had a great year. I think
been some challenges for some folks, but
absolutely.
Personally, I was going to say one thing. One reason Wes is smiling so hard, he already knows. One day the Chiefs will lose. He's in Kansas City. He's in Kansas City, and I was like,
"Oh boy, I'm sorry."
That's too funny. And
how did you know?
I can't wait for you all to meet Alana. I've known her for a few years, and she keeps me in line. I'm like the executive director, but she's the project manager, the project lead. She does the marketing for a project, place-based healing circles, and that's just one thing that she does. We're going to let you share like the gazillion things she does. And from my standpoint and reflection, it's all about communities, supporting women, being there for women, actual community neighborhoods like Larimar, and she's moved. I won't tell you moved because you don't want nobody knocking on your door. And then we've done like quite a few groups, and it used to be like I would do everything. I'd bring the water. You know how this is. You probably all know how this is. I bring the snacks. I bring the water, literally carrying it in. I do open meditation. I do attendance, like everything. And I was like, I can't function like this. So I don't even know how we met, Alana, but you could share that. And then we were like, there are other people there who have these connections and talents and skills. And she's like, Sheba Gittens. And I was like, I don't know her, but come on. And she was amazing. She really is amazing. So I'm hoping to incorporate her more to the things that we do. We had one group of mothers who had all lost a child to domestic violence. And Sheba created some healing. Like, it's been great. So they're here. Amy is in the background. You're not supposed to mention our ASL, but we just want to give you props. And I'm going to go off camera. I'm not feeling well at all. But I just wanted to go live. So thank you all. Happy Sunday. And Alana and Sheba or Wes, you take it how you want to take it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just really wanted to create some space and thank you, Sheba and Alana, for the work that you're doing. Just from what April shared, I mean, this is what this space is for. Myself, I am a survivor of gun violence after about 13 years. I actually embraced my 13-year rebirth. It was January 14th. And so I've seen, since then, I've done a lot of great things, but I have an organization called Disabled But Not Really that's located here in Kansas City, Missouri. And we've just been focused on enhancing the quality of life for people with physical disabilities, and do it in a lot of different ways. But of course, we serve people from minority communities and different things. So understanding people that's lost lives as well as being survivors of domestic violence, things like that. So I think when April just shared that little piece about you, Sheba, it really just made a full circle even for me, because I know some of the people that we work with are definitely just really healing from different things. And so I think this is going to be an amazing conversation, as well as like the work that you're doing, Alana, with creating spaces. So just to start off, I mean, Alana, if you can jump in and kind of let everyone know who you are, what you do, and then we can kind of go into Sheba and then the conversation.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Alana Griffin. Like a lot of us, I do a lot of things. I'm a mom of two boys, ages 10 and 12. I am, in April kind of mentioned it. I lived in Pittsburgh. From Pittsburgh, I left for about 12 years and I came back. And when I came back, I needed a community. I needed a space for my young son at the time to really connect with other kids. So I joined a community center. East Liberty Family Center in East Liberty, housed in the Kingsley Center. So I became a part of that. I am the chair of their Parent Advisory Council. I've been the chair for about 5 years. The family centers in Allegheny County there's about 22 of them. And then collectively, there's an organization called Community Voices. I'm co-chair of Community Voices. We get together, all of the community centers, share resources, etc. As April mentioned, and then we'll go into a little bit more. I'm a facilitator for place-based healing circles. I'm an author. I'm an entrepreneur. I do a lot of things, but my heart and passion is really the youth as well as mothers and the community.
Oh, I love that. Oh, all right. I can see how this conversation is probably going to be shaped today. I like it. I do. All right. Well, thank you, Elena, for sharing. Sheba, the floor is yours.
Ooh, that question is always so juicy because there's so many answers. I'm a mother to a 4-year-old who will be in and out while we're in this conversation, and we're all going to get that bounty. I am a soul that is literally seeking a future, to be in the future. So I am healing my way through the future. And I pray for a time when we don't have to do all the work of healing, that we actually just get to exist in the future. So a lot of my work is rooted in liberation and liberation practices and standing on principles, standing on our values. And the folks who say, like, I'm trying to stand 10 toes down on business, period. And that business is human business, how we're all going to thrive and be in the future. So some of my work, I have the joy of working with the Ujima Collective and supporting Black women and community. I have the honor of working as a co-lead trainer with Yoga Roots on Location, which is the yoga teacher training program that really flipped my whole everything on its head. Like, it was a space to really practice being the being that I already was, without restriction and without folks telling me it was too much. I got to show up as just enough. And that was a new way of being in community, right? A new way of being in community where I could be received as I am, the bounty of me and the complexities of me. I work with Yoga Motive as a instructor, as a support to that beautiful yoga-driven, Black-owned, I think it was the first Black yoga studio in the city of Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken, Alicia Dawn Young. I have the honor of working with Awaken Pittsburgh. I work with Balaphone West African Dance Ensemble. Listen, I'm that home girl. When you get out of the train station in New York and somebody open the jacket like, yo, I got what you need. That's me right there. I used to do locks, X-loctician. Like, I'm out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally the empress of all trades. And I used to feel like there was some shame in that I should find in myself. But I've come to realize that that's how we've always been. We've always carried bounty. And that just honors the essence of being. And so, yeah, I'm layered. I might have not even said some things, but a sister girl is layered.
Right. I love that. Yeah, April said we had Felicia on a few years ago. No, I love that, being layered. I take pride in like wearing a lot of hats, and I guess when you understand purpose, like you said, when you understand your journey, you're okay with wearing a lot of hats. You're okay with being a part of communities. You want to build them up. You want to make sure that you show up to show what that new perspective can look like. I mean, it's such a powerful thing, and it's always the level of representation. I think a lot of people probably get in their head thinking that they only have to be in one direction. So again, I really thank you for sharing. Y'all came in kind of gutting today. All right. I mean,
and as Sheba said, I done missed some things. I'm also an ambassador for Ujima. So
goodness. I mean, talk about coming into the new year. Dr. Martin Luther King would be happy. Listen, all right. He like, y'all taking breaks tomorrow or not? I'm just saying.
no.
I know, right? That's where the hats come.
But I will say, like, that idea of what you said around purpose and being in your purpose, you know, it takes a lot of courage to stand in your purpose and to live a life where you are purpose driven. And it takes a lot of energy to know where to put your effort and when to rest. And I think that's that area of sweetness that we get to continue exploring as we're dealing with a dysregulated society. Absolutely. And inheritance of history.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So when we think about community and community care, what I've heard from both of you is, and you can kind of elaborate more, like, what's your initial focus? Like, what community are you truly like focused on caring for and empowering at the moment?
You know, I'll say it's multiple communities for me, right? So in my work as the chair for Parent Advisory Council, that's where, you know, as a single mother, that's where I'm able to connect with the parents and the children in that community. Now, that's particularly East Liberty area, but we welcome all different areas. So it's the parents. It's really, we do parent leadership, parent training. We do parent-child-led activities. We are a resource hub for them. You know, if it's court mandated parenting classes, diaper banks, you know, we do a slew of things, as well as helping them to connect with leadership classes, as well as coming together and doing fun activities. You know, my children, the first time they went to an opera was through our family center. So that community is, you know, is where my heart is, because as a mom coming from, and I kind of said in the beginning, I left Pittsburgh. I was gone for about 12 years. And when I came back, I wanted a community. I wanted to embrace with moms and parents my age. They had kids my age, and I really wanted that connection. I was going through a divorce, so I definitely was on my own healing journey. And I'll say that, you know, we don't heal in isolation. We need love. We need connection. You know, we need care. So I sought that. So that's one community that I've been a chair for 5 years. And we've done a lot of work. We have our monthly meetings. We have speakers that we come in. I really hear from the ladies and the families on what they need. What do you want to hear from? We just did a tax preparation meeting. You know, we do game night. So that's one community that I'm heavy on. And in that, being in that community, I mentioned that the family centers in Allegheny County, there's about 22. So I had the honor to be the co-chair of Community Voices. Community Voices has been around. This is the 30th year. I've been chair for about 3 years. So what we do is we meet all of the family centers once a month, and right now it's been on Zoom. We hold 3 meetings a year. One of them is our health and wellness, really being cognizant of your health. You know, bone density, you know, diabetes, you know, really just checking everything and all of the resources they would need. We do that once a year, and that's coming up in April. I'll share that information out. We get together because a lot of time, like I said, we're on Zoom. So we get together for an annual picnic that happens in August. Last year it was about 120. You know, we have the bounce house for the kids. We have, you know, we're doing cookouts. It's a really fun activity. We're playing cards. I'm a big space player. We're putting the cards out. We're really having fun and getting to connect with those that we see online, different communities. So this is all Allegheny County. All of the cities come together during this time and really build. We're building additional community. We're building those bonds. We're networking. We're sharing resources because we have a slew of vendors that come in and help. And then we have our holiday dinner meeting, and that's held in December. It was just recently at Hosanna House. We really come together and we're breaking bread. We're sharing, we're gift giving, we're doing all of the things for holidays, really making people feel special. Because sometimes during the holidays, a really hard time. It can be a really hard time for a lot of those who don't have family, who have lost family. So that's a part of, we talk about all of the things that we do. And I want to clarify. So I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for your audience. So I was giving kind of areas, but I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And then also I facilitate the healing circles. And that's been so transformational because we are all on our healing journey, right? Yeah, we're all on a healing journey. So this is a 6-week cohort. We've been facilitating in the East Liberty area and also another area, McKees Rocks, where we get together and we've graduated about 144 total. So we get together and we're really allowing and creating a safe space. A safe space where you can, corporate America and the world, you have to really play the game or you have to be a certain way. You come as you are. You take your, you have your baggage, you drop your baggage. So as soon as you come into or create in that space, how have you been? What are you dealing with? And we really get deep and raw and we really allow them to just pour out. And a lot of times we need that. You don't have that. Can you be vulnerable without judgment? Can you really just share what's on your mind? It may sound crazy, but this is what I'm dealing with today. So we do that. And then on top of that, we're helping them get the tools to heal. A lot of times we may not know that we need this or that, what to do on this healing journey. So giving them the tools. And in 6 weeks, we go over different domains, right? Because healing is, we're mental. We go over financial literacy. A lot of us have been wounded financially. A lot of us feel in spaces where we're not valued, right? And have some wounds when it comes to finances. So we help them with that, a bit of financial literacy. What you have, can you manage what you have in budget? We have someone come and speak about that. We then do resilience. A lot of us born into being resilient, right? We have no choice but to really be resilient. So we really give them different tools to be resilient. And that's one of the other ones. We talk about nutrition. A lot of us are tired, right? We're tired. There are a lot of things going on. So we really have someone come in and really talk about food and nutrition, our wellness, meditation. All of those things is what part of the healing circles is. And I've been a part of that for about 2 years, which is just so powerful. So I'm kind of trying to touch the communities and they do come together in some ways. And then also I'm an ambassador for Ujima Collective, an organization that I absolutely love. I was seeking the community for myself, and this is that community of sisterhood, of empowerment, of really Black artisans coming together. And when I get around these ladies, it's just, I'm creative naturally, but it just heightens it. It just really, I'm able to level up and bounce off of the energy amongst them. So really proud to be a part of that. And those are some of the communities. My son as well, I advocate for my son. I'm an adoptive mom. So I'll really touch on it briefly because I don't want to cry. But he was placed with me when he was 3 years old. And I adopted him when he was 6. And that, oh my God, the first 3 years of his life, he was really, a lot of trauma. So he has some, I call it trauma-invoked challenges, ADHD and PTSD, so that healing journey we deal with daily because it looks different for everyone. And even though he was there for 3 years, that still affects him. So really having the community and advocate for him in school to really allow him to be his best and to work through those challenges. So I may talk on it a little bit more. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Oh, I love that. See, Sheba, this is when you come in, I'm assuming, because the way she came and helped April just not too long ago. Woo! No, thank you again, Alana, for sharing your work in the communities that you are passionate about serving. And you're right, all of them do intersect. And so, again, it's always a ripple effect, but I have like an end piece to that question or in a second. But yeah, Sheba, if you're we need that joy bouncing around, just letting you know. So I'm here for it. Absolutely.
Alana, first and foremost, sis, I just want to thank you for speaking so vulnerably and really centralizing like the first contact of community is in our homes, and then the extension of that, right? And also knowing that we are in Black and brown bodies, and there's a certain level of advocacy that has to exist beyond just being people. It's the inheritance of the social structure that we are fighting and trying to find our way through. It was designed the way it was designed, and we trying to get through the design and reshape the design. That's the point. That's the whole purpose of community care, literally, is to reshape that design so they could be more rooted in our humanity and existence as celestial beings, as we're a part of the ecosystem, right? There's a distraction from the earth, and that complicates how we can actually be in this world. So I start by giving gratitude for you sharing, sis. And in terms of community, for me, I'm intergenerational with this, John. Like, I'm out here for everybody and everything, okay? I realized as I was thinking about this question, it's hard for me to say that this is just one community space. I think a part of my innate presence as a person is I'm a weaver of fabric. Like, I use fabric as a part of my weaving, but I also like to weave people together. So I like pulling my communities together to interact. And I want all my friends to know all my friends. That's the type of energy I'm on. And one of the ways that I show up in the world is like Adrienne Brown talks about the small is all. So for me, when I walk out the door, how am I connecting with the folks who are on my block? How am I connecting to the folks who are offering care, picking up the trash, dropping off the mail? Those are human beings having human experiences. And in my work, I get to interact with children through the Pride Project, Positive Racial Identity Development and Early Education. We need it. We need our children to see themselves in education, in the world. They need to see themselves in the future. And so I have the joy of being an artist in that space, an artist educator. I work with an intergenerational cohort of Black creatives through the Ujima Collective. Same thing with Balaphone West African Dance Ensemble. And even when I was dancing with the Shona Sharif, from babies to elders, all the work that I do is from the children to the elders. The children are the ones who we have to pave the way to stop that trauma. We have to stop that trauma, and the children can carry a new future forward. And the elders, we got to get the elders massaged up so that they can release some of that energy and that elder wisdom, so that the elders, the youth elders, okay, I'm 40, but I like to still call myself a yelder. Thank you to the organizers in California who put us on, in Washington, the state of Washington, who put us onto this concept of a yeldership. And I think that when I think of community, I think of a non-performance based approach. That means I'm not just going to show up in a building and then turn on. I think I'm being on 24/7. That's a part of my Raja Yoga practice, is how am I treating myself and how am I treating others? How am I in a practice for a liberated future? Am I already living into a liberated future when we talk about community? And how do I need to show up as an active listener, as a person that knows we're all exposed to trauma? Primary, secondary, tertiary, and it could go all up in the uri-uris, however we pronounce the terms. We are all exposed to trauma on a cyclical nature. And so a lot of our work is not just showing up in spaces, but it's like really showing up in a space and allowing folks to be who they are.
Yeah.
And offering care. Because sometimes those ways that we show up are rooted in how we are expressing that trauma, how that trauma is showing up for us on that day. And that's hard work.
Absolutely.
It's hard work when somebody cussing you out and you like, yes. We're going to dig into this real quick. It's hard work because you have your own stuff that gets activated. Yes. And so I'll say for me, like my community, I also have to big up my sisterin. I've been rolling tight with a squad of sisterin for years since I came to this University of Pittsburgh as a student from Brooklyn, New York. I came to the University of Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there were a group of women that I met at Sankofa circles. And these Sankofa circles were designed to get us having really difficult conversations and also looking at history and understanding how history plays a role in all of the things that we do. And my work was able to be deepened when I was a fellow at YUIR, Youth Undoing Institutional Racism, and was able to do work with the People's Institute around understanding history. Because a lot of the history, we think that it's just living in this insular past tense context, when we're not threading it to how I'm showing up sitting in this chair right now. All of the history that came before plays a role in how this bench I'm sitting on has been constructed, how the weather and how we are seeing so much devastation on this earth, and even looking at the ways that food is managed as a collective practice, right? All of that is in relationship to what we've inherited from the ancestors who were doing too much, some were doing too little, and some were just doing just right. They were hitting it. You know what I'm saying? That's how we got into these spaces to have this conversation. Ancestors said, no, we're not about that life. And so when I think of community, I don't just think of like here and now. I think of ancestors as well as a deep part of my community practice. And that veneration, that appreciation, that wisdom that can be gleaned from their experiences is how I want to continue showing up in the world, raising my child, right? And raising our children, because all the children are ours. But how does that show up when you're under pressure and you're under stress and there's so much that needs to be done? We can forget it because that's what history has taught us, to forget that ancient wisdom of community. And community is how I survived trauma. It's how I made it out of the hospital after my child's birth. It's how I made it to today. My sisters showed up for me, and they continue to show up for me.
No, I love that. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Like, all right. Well, if me and April were to talk and we were trying to plan out who was just going to come in and just set the tone for January and the rest of the year, I mean, you two are doing it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for even, I don't know, like feeding my soul in the moment. Like I needed to hear that. We all know, or at least when we're doing the work that we do, we know, but it is affirming to hear. And you do it so well. All right. I love Kansas City, but April, I'm telling you, I might be having to come down to Pittsburgh real soon. I mean, there's all these amazing people. I had the worst experience in Pittsburgh, but I'm not going to tell you about my experience in Pittsburgh. Yeah, April got soaking wet. It was raining. It was horrible, but I'll come back when the sun is shining, okay? But I asked you guys, like what communities you are focused on and the work that you're doing within them. And that was because sometimes when people hear community, if they don't understand the term, they just put it in such a geographic way, right? You're looking at that community and not knowing that parenthood is a community, womanhood is a community, sisterhood is a community, brotherhood is a community. You know, there are all these different communities, whether you're in school, you have a community there. You have, for me, I have a spinal cord injury. So like I find community within spinal cord injury, but then I find community within disability. I find community within being Black and disabled. It's so many people that there's community for me that are gunshot survivors, right? Like there's a whole nother community there. And then I'm a single father, community there, right? Like, so again, I wanted those that are listening to understand that there are communities within community. And when you can find that, you can find your place somewhere that maybe you didn't think that you were a part of. And that is where sometimes we feel lost. Like I think I can't remember which one y'all was hitting me, but someone said like it can't be done in isolation, right? You need to be able to find community. So understanding that, yeah, maybe I'm trying to step outside the box and going out this door, this community isn't something that is aligned to me because my mind is looking abroad. But maybe I can find something that represents me, and there is a community within my community for that. So like rather I'm a parent and I just want to be more prone into, do anyone knows the struggles of being a parent right now? What does that look like? Where I can share that story, right? Like if there's something where I'm just trying to be educated and I'm surrounded by people that don't take education as something valuable, there's still a community of people that are within your community. And then again, it does have a ripple effect because it intersects. So now I like that weaving thing because there are people outside of community that can still be in alignment to your purpose and your goals. And so being able to connect only opens up your mindset a little bit further. It only opens up the resources and the connections that, like Alana said, like now we can provide resources to everyone that, is in alignment to multifacets of communities. And so again, I really wanted people to just hear the expansion of the word community over just sometimes what we hear a lot. We always hear east, west, north, south, and then that's it, and it is so much more to that.
And can I share one more thing, Wesley? I as a person have returned to community. I do believe we always can re-arrive at ourselves. And the idea of re-arriving with other beings is super scary because, let's keep it real. We all judging. We judging. Everybody judging me right now. Y'all judging me. Okay? And that's just what it is. That's a part of our survival and understanding how you might receive me and how I might reflect and remind you of another energy in your past. So judgments serve a very functional purpose for our existence. And the type of community that I value is one where we all know that we are doing the very best that we can to exist in ourselves. And existing in ourselves means we must exist in community. It just goes hand in hand. And I had retracted myself from a lot of spaces due to trauma. And when I'm in the process of literally reintegrating into the spaces that I call community for me. And what has been so powerful for me is that the messages we tell ourselves based on the ways that we are introduced to insecurity, a lot of those messages aren't true. Some of them can be true. We're not going to act like they're not. And then some of them are contrived in isolation, as we talked about earlier. And so I just share that because you talked about this notion of how vast community is. And I want to remind folks that there may be spaces that you get to return to once you have returned to yourself. And that is the only way I could show back up with my people is I had to show up with myself first. I was taken outside of myself. I'm not even going to lie to you. I was outside of myself. I had been harmed by an institution. And it took time and energy and wisdom that was inside of me. And it drained my essence. And it took a lot to recover it. And it took a lot to show back up and be in these streets to be with my people. And so I say that to say, like, the effort is worth it. Because once you are in that spaces or in that space or in those spaces, you get to see that, oh, a lot of us are dealing with all this melee of inheritance in social structure. It's terrible in these streets for all of us.
Yes.
And we get to do the work to heal together, right? You can heal out loud. That's the practice, is healing out loud. That's why I love the yoga teacher training, because we literally stand on the principles of Raja Yoga, where we are going to offer ourselves care and compassion and practices that are nutritive and supportive. And I'm also going to lean out to my community and do the same thing. I'm going to stand in principles that allow me to see you as an existing body with life behind it and in front of it. Because I want me in the future, I want you in the future too. So we get to practice that type of liberty, which is what I love. Is like, yo, I'm trying to show up. I just want to show up. And sometimes that's all we need to do is show up and allow the unfolding to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a cost that it is challenging. I will say that. I get it. Let's show up.
I'm off camera for listeners who may have just come in because I've been sick. And I'm trying to be quiet, but you all, Wes, they dropping knowledge and support, and care and healing comes through community. I don't know if you said that Sheba or Elena said that, but I appreciate that. And especially going through a season right now where I wanted to shut down, go within. Elena's known me for a few years, and this is the first that she's heard of everything that I've been going through, because maybe you all can touch on this, Wes, you too, like the vulnerability is what we teach. Like I was like, breathe deeply, meditate, move your body, eat the right foods, know your value. Like I was teaching all the things, and what I have is a direct reflection of autoimmune, of stress, of trauma, of PTSD, and my body is like, listen, sister, I am sick of you. So we going back to basics. You're shedding layers. You're getting, new stuff put in you, and then I'll, go back to holistic, what we know. But I want, if you guys want to share and expand on this idea that when I started letting people know, like I wouldn't answer the telephone. I just sat up on this couch. Like I've been doing Sunday Safe Spaces with Wes. I told him a little bit. I said it a few times, but I find to let people know, and it's okay. I'm trying to reframe my narrative, but speaking to where you are in the season doesn't mean that you don't think positively, that you're not focused on your healing, whatever that healing looks like for you. So yeah, we've all been through that. And I know, like you, Wes, people were like, well, you don't get up and walk one day. You like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm a mute.
But April, thank you for sharing, and thank you again. We love you. The healing out loud. Like I think that is important. I think that was one of what I heard. And I think that is where you don't isolate yourself. You heal out loud. You let people know that you're going through a season, but you still show up the best that you can. I always tell people, like for me, just being in a wheelchair, there's no way that I can hide what I'm going through. It's hard. I might even physically be okay with just rolling around. Doesn't mean that I'm not dealing with things physically. But there, like Sheba said, I feel like I'm an automatic judgment because now I'm in this wheelchair, and and so I have to be able to heal from that, on a daily basis as well. Different spaces I go into, I'm a visual representation of what doesn't probably exist there already. And so again, people are already probably picturing my trauma. What does that look like? So to be able to own it enough to heal out loud, to share the practices that you're doing so that you can show up in a space, like April, then we were just talking about just sitting and doing a show. If I have to go around, it's like for me, like the airplane, like the airplane is not a space where just people in wheelchairs normally go. So normally you have to take your cushion with you so that you can sit properly. But again, it's that system that's designed that you have to alter a little bit to make sure that the space is now welcoming you. And so you change that a little bit and disrupt it. And that's kind of what that's what I'm getting from like the healing out loud, because when you heal in isolation, it becomes more traumatizing. I know that because try to heal in isolation, just battling my being paralyzed, but I didn't heal until I healed out loud so people could understand what I was going through and how I was maneuvering through it. And I go with this thing where I was confined to four wall analogy, because it was like, as long as I was in the house, the four walls all my energy was bouncing off the walls. So I felt the same every day. But once I went outside and started to embody and heal out loud, as that term is new to me, things started to change. I started to see that I could be in spaces and everything wasn't great. But again, just going back to, it's okay to be in a season, and it's okay but you show up the best that you can, but you do need community. Through my work, we do some mental health practicing now for people with disability. And I always tell people I was going through the hardest time in April. No, it was the toughest year. I lost like 2 individuals in a week time. It was a lot. And until we started doing this program within my org, I didn't know I wasn't healed through that. Like, I found so much clarity through the community because we got to create a vulnerable space. And even as the founder, I was coming in on the calls like, hey, I'm pouring my heart out but I didn't understand that was so necessary. Like, even when you wear a hat, you still need to be able to go talk to someone. I actually took my first therapy. I had a therapy session 2-3 days ago. It was my very first one. And it's crazy because like you said, April, we talk all this and I always feel it, but my fiance actually set it up for me. It was just like, you should just talk to somebody outside of just everyone that you know sometimes. And I just was open to doing it. And I think it was just like a really great opportunity to really do something different. So again, just really, I love that. I love what you shared, April. I think that, and I do think that community itself is valuable. Alana, could you share? I mean, I know you shared a little bit about one journey, right? But is there a particular, like, what got you guys? And it's kind of for both of you, but it's kind of like more like what was the healing? What was the journey that got you into caring for community more?
Yeah, now I want to say really quickly, April, I really appreciate your vulnerability, and we honor you and the place that you are and being vulnerable to share with us. And like you said, Wes, a lot of times, and I'll say it again, we can't heal in isolation. So we definitely need that care community. We need that love. And like you said, we can heal amongst our shared experiences, sharing and being vulnerable with each other, breaking that isolation, collective responsibility. So for me, I was told, growing up to do this, do that. And I knew I was a creative. I knew I was meant for more. I knew I had multifacets. I knew that I just wasn't going to fit into a box. And like when Sheba said earlier, once I embrace who I am and that I do multiple things and I'm proud of it, this is who I am. Once I embraced who I am, I began to take my path onto being my authentic self. Really quick, I was in corporate America. I was a business banker. I was climbing the corporate ladder, right? But it wasn't as fulfilling for me. It wasn't fulfilling for me. So I said, you know what? When I relocated back here, I shifted and I wanted to do community work. So I started a nonprofit program manager and really working with the youth. And I knew that's where I felt at home. I felt at home in my community, sharing out, making an impact. I look at myself as a servant leader. That is just who I am. So it's been about, 6-7 years where I really said, you know what, I'm going to be my authentic self. And in that, I want to give and give back and be amongst these different communities. So that's just kind of the journey that I took. Went from there and started into entrepreneurship. And a lot of our, like we talk about being vulnerable and sharing our stories, a lot of my encounters in life, I wanted to share and be vulnerable with different audiences. You know, I'm an author, and part of that book is talking about single motherhood. You know, it's really talking about extending your family on your own terms. Like, you know, I had one child, biological child, and I wanted to extend my family, and I did it a non-traditional way with adoption. So really, just taking the time and you know, a lot of that I'm learning more in the Raja Yoga teacher training that I'm in is really hearing yourself, you know, hearing who you are, allowing your thoughts to come, allowing you to really be authentic and rest. And a lot of times we really struggle in that area, is to be still and to really hear our thoughts. And when I began to do more of that, I just started this journey, and just your doors just opened. You know, my path is just aligned. We've invited Sheba in do a meditation. And with that, then I was then introduced to the Raja Yoga teacher training. So I feel like once you really embrace who you are and allow yourself to flourish, your path and what you need is going to be right in front of you. So it's just one step after another, and it's been beautiful. I wouldn't have any other way.
That's it. I tell people my life wouldn't be what it is now if I didn't own this, if I didn't accept not just what you see, but all the things that made me who I am, all of the experiences, the lessons. You know, I use that. If you ever, for me, the 8 Mile, I use this 8 Mile analogy from the movie with Eminem. And I always tell people that, like, through the whole movie, he lost every battle when he didn't own his truth. And at the end of the movie, the moment he owned his truth, no one could say anything else about him. And for me, that's how I move. As long as I can own my truth, there's nothing you can say about me. All you can do is learn from me now, because I am a healed version of that trauma. But now I get to evolve from that to create something and a new perspective that you are now being introduced to. But if I own the image that you have of me and the narrative that you have of me, then you're lost. You know, if I don't own it, then you have control over me. You have control over who you think I am. And so again, I just share that because that is such a power. It is. It's really knowing yourself. You know, we hear it a lot, right? And it sounds as just the simplest thing. Like, yeah, I know who I am. No, you got to know who you are when you're vulnerable, when you're hurting, when you're around people. I think Sheba said that. Like, you have to. Yeah. What are you? Is there a mask on or is there a mask off? And is it always off, or do you put it on at certain moments? And I think it was. So thank you for sharing.
And Wes, if I can say, you know, it's scary. It's not something. It takes courage, and it's very scary in a place where, you know, you are different. You're outside of the box. You're doing different things. You're really serving you and being who you are authentically, but others can't understand that. But you still have to stand firm on who you are, who you were aligned and meant to be, and keep moving forward. But is it easy? It's not easy. It's be your authentic self. No, it takes time. It takes a true connection with yourself. And it's a definite journey because you're always evolving, right? We're always evolving. But yeah.
Absolutely. Sheba.
Ooh, y'all dropping bars. Bars. Oh, April, first and foremost, you know, we talk about, this is a conversation on community care, and we started the entire pre-session to session around community care and honoring your vulnerability and your naming of where you were. And that, to me, is the essence of community care, is being able to receive folks where they are and holding that space for a variety of different energies to show up, and not holding it alone. Like, what brought me to community is me. I am community. I am community, and I deserve belonging. And I didn't always know that. I didn't always know that I got to belong in places. I had a very complicated upbringing. a very deeply nuanced series of experiences that include joy and despair, sadness, and just a whole lot of other like abundance and gratitude, just a variety of different things. And I think for me, what really rooted me in staying in the practices with community, even though there were times in my life that I was outside of what I knew I needed to be doing for survival, the thing, I would always have a toe in somewhere. One big toe would be hanging out somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go to this meeting. I'm about to do this thing with community. I'm about to dance. We're doing something that involves being in a group of people who are choosing to live their lives and be themselves under all circumstances. Yuck. He's currently saying yuck to applesauce. He loves applesauce, but really it's a gummy situation that we're trying to battle over here. So thank you all. So what I think has kept me in community is exactly what Alana talked about. You know, I see myself as a part of the mycelium network, and Adrienne Marie Brown talks a lot about this concept of like just being in the, and indigenous people talk a lot about us being a part of the ecosystem. I started to see myself as a part of the ecosystem. I started to believe that I needed to be one of the mycelium branches supporting and extending whatever I had in the ways that I could, because that's the other thing is sometimes we feel like it needs to look a certain type of way. But sometimes the only thing you need to do within that network is make one call or not show up somewhere because you know that you have to prioritize yourself. All of that matters. All of it matters. The micro to the macro matters in how we are showing up in the world. And I think the most courageous thing that we can do is trust ourselves, because we are taught so many systems away from trusting and caring for ourselves that it becomes a second question, which is why it becomes scary. It's only scary because I was told not to believe in myself. Hello? Well, what if I had that inheritance from the beginning? Would I be out here doing some trippy things? Because I was tripping. And let me apologize to everybody I was tripping around. Thank you all. I just want to take this time to apologize because I was tripping. But that's what I learned. That's how I learned how to exist and survive moments, was by being a particular type of way, knowing particular things. And I'm from Brooklyn. I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. So that's a whole nother level of like figuring things out and a certain type of mentality to get through what you got to get through that can also involve certain characteristics that for me, I just don't want to carry anymore, or that I want to reshape it to use it in a different way, or that I want to lean more into. I get to make that decision based on how I want to show up with myself and others. And so I'll say that like my intro to community was my intro to myself and being willing to be with myself. And it's been a hard journey. I'm a fat, Black, queer, disabled woman that has to navigate this world. I'm telling you, that intersection be like, it be going off. You feel me? Like it's so many moments in life that I have to take deep breaths to catch myself and remember that I belong. I belong here. The environment says no, I say yes. And it took a lot for me to come back outside. Because like you said, Wesley, you talked about the walls. I was inside, yo. I was like, I'm not fitting to be out there. I feel overwhelmed. I am like, people are going to think I'm like, the narratives that exist. And I'm a good storyteller. So I was giving myself award-winning novels in my brain and my consciousness about what was going to happen outside. And a lot of it is very real threats that we have to face on a daily basis by existing. Just very real threats that then can be contrived by past trauma, past pain, past memory. And so I'm in the business now of trying to remind myself that I get to create new memories. I get to co-create an existence that can hold many, if not all of us, because there's still work that I don't know I need to do until it is unveiled to me. So being in community really is also about knowing that we don't know everything, that we are going to make mistakes, we are going to cause harm, and that there's always space for repair if our heart can be open to it, which means we have to be accountable and we have to stand in the pocket of truth that makes us look a little shady.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. I said some wild stuff. I need to hold myself accountable for it. Didn't realize it at the time because, again, I was navigating a lot of past to present to future energy. We're always time traveling within ourselves. We're always time traveling. The past is always catching up to the now, and the now can sometimes be a direction for how we want to be in the future. And sometimes the now is omitted, so we're going from the past to the future, repeating patterns. So it feels like a very, like, I used the word layered earlier. I'm going to go back to that word. It's so layered, y'all. It is so deeply layered. But the earth is the medicine. The earth is the medicine. That mycelium network is used amongst trees to feed one another, to offer nutrients and care. That is community care. That network that we build, that we can share resources, mutual aid, compassion, love, realness, awareness. This is really happening to you. I can't question your truth. I get to stand with you as you're working through it. Be with you as you're working through it. Hold you when you can't do it. And hold myself because it's hard for me to do it too. We get to do that together, not with everyone, because again, we're still battling this reality that has been created for us. It's not safe. Let's just be real. It's not safe. We have to create, as Becca Zala would say, one of my good sister, and I call her a great prophet of our time. But as Becca Zala would say, we have to create brave and courageous spaces so that we can invite safety as a collective, because I can't create it by myself. So community for me is a co-created energy that I have to be willing to be in it, be a part of it, and also know when I need to address myself to be a better support to myself and others. Because I still cause myself harm, and thus I will still cause others harm. I know I went real deep.
All truth.
Oh, that was so good. Oh my goodness. April came on the mic. I love it. Oh, thank you so much for that. Hold on. Just some space, right? Whoo, this was such, okay. This is a lot, but a lot of good. I think a lot of great, actually, when you're starting a new year. And I think saying things that people might not know that they really needed to hear, even myself included. And so I really love this. And as much as I want to be able to like dissect the things that we just heard, I know we're kind of going into time. And what we do at the end of this is we try to allow everyone to share, what are you doing in the moment to continue like healing, how do you help yourself in the moment? So is there books that you read? Do you journal? Any references that you want to be able, resources that you want to share with others and say, this is the work that I do every day. This is my routine, or just any resources that you want to share with people right now. That's where we kind of create that space. So Alana, if you want to start off, especially with your book, of course, let us know.
Yes. So I'm doing a lot for myself. I'm in the yoga teacher training. That really is growing me as well, allowing me to prioritize rest, allow me to prioritize myself. And it's really been very helpful. I journal. I published 2 journals as well. I'll drop the links. You can share it out. And I journal. I color, adult coloring. That for me is very healing for me, just to take that time, relax your mind, your thoughts. I meditate, as well as I have a book, I'm an author. So I also share that information as well. So that is another, I'm working on a second book. That is something that is healing for me. And I say, find what works for you, find what you're able to rest. You're able to just be yourself. You find joy in, and those are some things that are healing for you as well. So I say, find what works for you. What else? My community, my community is also a part of me, taking back, let my hair down and really regrouping. So I have some really good sister friends, really good friends in my community where when I need that time, when I need to vent, when I need to just unwind, I go to them. So really knowing, and sometimes you have to build that support system and build that network for you. So yeah, those are some of the things. I'm probably forgetting some things, but those are some of the main things. My children, that's my joy, and because sometimes you're headache too, but that's a lot of my joy is being with them and being able to, fortunately as an entrepreneur, have that extra time and flexibility to be present, be present with them in the moment, So those are some things that are working for me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. And everybody knows that we'll share all the links and things. We have a newsletter that goes out, Alana, so we'll definitely share that within the newsletter. And Sheba.
Oh, again, another layered energy. Therapy is definitely great. Let's shout out therapy. That has been a viable resource for my survival. Tapping into ancient wisdom like yoga, like Ifa tradition. I attend these Ifa classes on Thursdays. That is my time to connect with spirit and to understand spirit from a context that actually makes sense to me. And it explains the existence of us. And that is helpful for my thinking. You can tell where the type of energy I'm on. My brain is, I'm a Virgo, so we're processing multiple processes while processing the process of the processee. So that's helpful. I am an artist, so I create. And I try to integrate some of that creating with my, he's not a toddler anymore, 4 years old, they call him preschool. But my child, I try to be in a creative practice with my child. I don't always reach the way that I desire to, but I'm in the practice, and I have to hold that as a remembrance that even if I can't do it every day, whatever my practice is I'm in practice. And that's a note for us. Like sometimes we can feel like, oh no, I don't journal because you missed 4 days or 14, but you were journaling for 3 months. You're journaling. Get back into it. Return. We get to return. I have been journaling. I do a bullet journal, or they might call it also a passion journal. And it is a journal where you are creating the outline yourself, but there are certain creative ways to do it that has been very helpful for me to unpack my thinking. I love reading. I love listening to Adrienne Maree Brown. I love and have such deep gratitude for Resmaa Menakem, My Grandmother's Hands. That book was in this earth, this body of mine, this earth, it was earth shaking, shattering, and reconstructing. That book was everything. And also just, I like listening to YouTubes of Resmaa's work and Adrienne Maree Brown. And I also watch Ratchet TV. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm confessing to y'all. I watch me some Ratchet TV, y'all. I do. I would be getting in there, okay? And also, it's such a great reminder of who gets left behind in conversations and why our work needs to be so multi-generational. It needs to be culturally rooted in all that we do, because nobody needs to be getting left behind. This conversation is for all of us, but our folks do get left behind. And so Ratchet TV is a reminder for me that I need to keep remembering that we all get to have some of this. It belongs to all of us. And other things, I just like being a creative essence. I like deep conversation. I love being in conversations like this. My work with Yoga Roots on Location, at the time that I had that trauma and my healing journey, I was still able to show up because I was still practicing. And I could not show up if I wasn't in practice. So having places of accountability, people who are going to hold me accountable, that is also a part of my self-care practice, is being in that space of vulnerability and being able to listen to my elder tell me, you ain't getting up in here. Go lay yourself down. Go, I need you to go do something else, but you ain't going to do this right here. You're doing too much. And I'm like, no, I'm just doing a little bit. And they're like, no, you're doing too much. So I appreciate that level of accountability. And so for me, that is a deep part of my care practice. Again, is the healing out loud. Absolutely. And being able to be honest is the most liberating thing I've gifted myself, is that honesty, because I'm not always okay. I'm crying for our children globally, for our children in Palestine, the Congo, Sudan, and other areas where colonialism and imperialism is thriving. I'm crying for us. And it's an everyday endeavor that is compounded by what I have to navigate here on this side of the world. So yeah, it's real. It's tender. It's tender.
Absolutely. It's a constant journey. So thank you, both of you, for sharing and welcoming this space. Um, man, for me, at the moment, I am just now getting into my new year. I take time from right after Christmas up until after the 14th. That's when my anniversary date is. Before I start to do anything, that was me giving myself grace and time, and I do it every year now. So I'm really just now starting my routine, getting back to journaling, getting back to. I'm actually going to grab that my grandmother's hands. We were shared that book a while back, and so I have it already. I'm sitting with my fiance, and we're probably gonna read it together. And just kind of, I've actually been coming into that space of being a soon-to-be husband and trying to figure out what family looks like, and going through a new level of healing because you're accepting someone into your life. Is different than being solo, right? So that's where I am. I'm learning how to become something new, and I'm welcoming that this year in this moment. So, and still being true to who I am already, right? So there we go. And April, again, we thank you. Thank you today for just being a part of this and staying present. We wish you healing. We wish you time, patience, space, and know that you have community amongst us all. Uh, Thank everybody for watching. Till next year. I mean, next month. You say that, April? Go
I
ahead.
was just saying thank you so much. I'm over here like dozing, but I am so engaged, and I appreciate. I put in the chat that only we could read everybody that I wasn't planning to share this, and then I was like, I have to, because they're gonna be like, "Are you okay?" And just sharing it with you all was healing in and of itself. So I appreciate you all. We're going, Wes, the good people we're going to bring back. So no, we don't judge. Everyone's good. But blessings and thank you so much.
And deep gratitude to you, Wesley, to you, April, to our interpreter, to the folks who are working behind the scenes. It takes a lot of energy and effort to continuously show up in this way for humanity. And so I'm giving thanks for your essence and for you standing on your purpose and being in your purpose and your practices and living the life that you know to be the life you should be living. So I'm giving thanks for y'all and all the things that brought you here, every moment of it. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. We're going to keep on going, Wes. We're going to heal and get on here, sick or not. We're going to do this.
Absolutely. We'll keep going. So thank everybody for watching. We'll be here next month. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us and listening to the podcast. If you would like more information on the guests and the stories that you've heard today, and to hear stories from others, subscribe to the podcast. We also invite you to subscribe to Open Up Pittsburgh's newsletter, as well as our YouTube channel. We want you all to take care, and remember to make your own stories. This is April. Peace.